Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome. Colleen Patrick-Goudreau here. I'm an author and an animal advocate, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I wanted to connect with you before we lose our light, which we will do any minute now. It hasn't been a very sunny day, which is fine. It's been raining, but it's going to get dark very quickly. I wanted to also let you know that Animology Podcast just released its new episode on all of the words from goat and buck and kid, words and expressions from those words like buck up and buck the trend, and words like butcher, which actually comes from the word buck, meaning male goat, words like kidding and the slang term for kid, like a child, and words and expressions that go on and on. So check out the new episode of Animology, and please subscribe to Animology and download and leave a review. And I also wanted to let you know that I now have shareables on the Animology website. So if you go to animologypodcast.com and click on Animology loves, I'm watching Charlie, Animology loves your shares. So if you could use that to grab all of the little really informative graphics, you can use those to share, and I included some content that you could use as well. So I wanted to open this up to you for questions, any questions you have related to veganism, food, animals, animal advocacy, whatever it is. I had the worst debacle this weekend. I have to tell you that every weekend it's become such that I make waffles for David because David loves waffles. And it was so bloody annoying. So on Saturday morning, I wake up and I decide I'm going to make some waffles. And I'm going to double batch because then maybe on Sunday he could have some waffles as well. So I can't tell you how much I hate wasting things. It's one of my pet peeves. I hate wasting food. I hate wasting things. And so I made the double batch. Of course, that's using earth balance. It's organic earth balance. So that costs money. I'm using flour, and I'm using baking powder, and I'm using my flax eggs. And, relatively speaking, it's a pretty inexpensive yummy dish. It would certainly cost a lot more if I went out to a restaurant to get waffles, but I was making the waffles, I double batched it, and I tasted the batter, and it tasted really sour. And I thought, oh no, I think maybe it was the flax seeds. There were some whole flax seeds in the cupboard, and of course I had just ground them and then made them into my little flax eggs. And it was sour. I was like, okay, let me just make a waffle and see how it tastes. And it was off. It was bad. So I had to dump the entire double batch of waffles. Horrible. So I was like, okay, fine. I guess it was the eggs. I guess it was the flax eggs. So I dump the whole thing, and I make another single batch, and I use, oh, what did I do? How did I do it? I made it with, I guess I had some other flax eggs to use, and I tried that, and it was awful. Maybe I was making pancakes because pancakes, you don't need the flax eggs. So I was making pancakes, similar, but also flour and earth balance. And I made it, and I tasted the batter, and I was like, oh my God, this batter is off. Like something's really off. So it was off. It was just definitely off. So I thought it's probably the baking powder. So I kind of smell the baking powder. It's a little strong. So I chuck that baking powder, and I make another batch of now pancakes because I made a batch of, now I decided to make a batch of waffles because I had chia seeds. So I was like, okay, I'll just use the chia seeds to kind of create the binding agent. And of course, everything else creates the binding agent. So I make another batch, single batch this time, so I didn't double batch it, single batch it. And what you know, I put it in the waffle iron, and I had completely left out the earth balance. So I was like, oh my God, it's going to stick to my waffle maker. And of course, when I looked at it, it's like kind of white and gray. It wasn't this golden yellow color. It was kind of, so I decided to just kind of melt some earth balance and put it into the rest of the batter, because the waffle batter makes two waffles. So for the second waffle, at least, I had the earth balance in there. But honestly, it wasn't that bad. I did say to David that it reminded me of a church wafer from when I grew up Catholic. I remember the church wafers. They were kind of plain, but I loved them so much. So it worked out. But yeah, what the heck? 3 different batches. And I just pursued, but the kitchen just kept getting messier and it was awful. And luckily David did the dishes. So that is my story of my recent debacle. It's pretty awful. Adrian says, where's the piece you did on keeping fruits and veggies fresh and lowering food waste, please? I've been looking. I did do something like that. Was it a podcast I did? Help me. Was it a podcast I did? Or was it a video? Was it a video or a podcast? I have to think about it. I cannot remember. You know, it actually wasn't that bad without the earth balance. They weren't that flavorful, but they weren't that bad. Paula says, we really like your Facebook Live things here in Canada. Thanks for doing them. You're welcome, Paula. Thanks for coming. Patient, I wouldn't say I don't think I'd ever use the word patient and me in the same sentence. I am not patient. I'm persistent, I think is what you probably mean, Karina. If you mean because I tried again and again. And by that time, I had already called David to come down. He was away for several nights before. He had had a flight delayed 2 or 3 times coming home from Seattle. So he got in at 1:30 in the morning. So, of course, on Saturday morning, I was like absolutely sleeping and I'll make waffles. So I called him down around 10 o'clock and was like, come on, there's waffles. And he came down and there were no waffles. And then there were no waffles again. And then there were no pancakes. And then there were plain waffles with no flavor. But it worked out. Brittany says, my nursing class is starting nutrition next week. I'm a vegan. What do I say to my teachers when they start teaching all 110 of us the wrong health information? Well, I think one of the things you're going to have to keep in mind is that they have to follow a certain curriculum. And they probably followed that curriculum themselves as you're in this nursing, to teach that class and to become a nurse themselves. So I would be, first of all, I would just be compassionate and just be aware of that's where they're coming from. I wouldn't look at it like they don't understand and that's them and why can't they see this and I'm vegan and I always feel so opposed to, et cetera. Just understand that's the foundation they're coming from. And I think any conversation you have should come from common ground. So saying to them, all of the information here, most of it's going to be probably provided by the American Dietetic Association, is very old, it's very archaic, it's been very influenced by the meat, dairy, and egg industries. And I would just really encourage you to seek out having a conversation with them, with your instructors, because the best thing we can do, we being anybody who wants to change, who wants to buck the status quo. Did you get that there? Etymology, buck the status quo, is to find common ground with the people you want to work to help understand. So instead of saying, this is the information, you don't have it, because they're going to feel threatened by that, they're going to feel defensive. Rather, my understanding is, have you noticed this? If you look at this, why haven't we all been taught this information? Check this out so that together you're going at the right information rather than challenging your instructors. So, and then you're also you might have a little bit of a fight on your hands in terms of you're going to have to answer the questions and give them the answers they're looking for. And that's going to be tricky. And I think you're going to always want to just maybe stretch it a little bit, because if they're asking for, if you learn in the textbooks that the best source of protein is, let's say, meat, as an example, that's broad and probably not the question, but the answer they're looking for is meat, right? So if you put, beans, they're going to say that's wrong because they want it based on the information that they're teaching you. But I would say, meat is according to the book, but actually, so you might be able to kind of find ways to get more information in there. But this is what it looks like to not be part of the status quo in terms of, the misinformation that's being shared and taught. And now your opportunity is before you to really help change that status quo in your environment. Hi, Sangha. Have you ever made your own batch of vegan yogurt? Not yet, Sangha. It's on my list. Tell me the kinds of milks you're using, Sangha, for it. Yeah, thanks for your sympathy, everybody. I have 2 giant plants behind me. I have 2 pretty awesome plants. I'm pretty impressed with my indoor plant nurturing abilities. My right hand is actually pinned down by Charlie, because Charlie's on my lap and he fell asleep on my hand. So I can't move it to actually show you anymore, because I want to show you, but I can't because I'll mess everything up. But yeah, this room gets a lot of sun, and so we have a lot of plants, which is lovely. Isaac, hello Isaac. I had a great experience, made green machine smoothie for my Boy Scouts, and they want more plant-based food. Isaac, you've made my day. Isaac wrote to me to ask how to get more plant-based foods into the Boy Scouts. You didn't even need my help, Isaac. It's just a matter of sharing great food with them and taking the time to do that. And so I'm so glad. Well, let me know if I can send you a copy of the 30-Day Vegan Challenge. I would love to send that to you. Let me know. You have the email address, and I'll send you a copy. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Lena asks, what do I think about wearing fake fur? Yeah, fake fur is interesting. I'll be really honest. I don't have a problem wearing synthetic leather, for instance, because I think it's become such a part of our culture that it's not assumed that if you see what looks like leather on a pair of shoes, for instance, especially, or a belt, that it's necessarily from the skin of cows. But I don't think we're there yet in terms of fur. And I personally, even though I've seen some really cute vests, I was going to get a really cute vest. I was going to be a deer for Halloween, and I saw some really cute, pretty vests that were faux fur that were just adorable. And I refused to get them as much as I wanted them because they were cute, because I didn't want, because I would have worn them beyond Halloween. I was looking for something I could wear beyond Halloween. And I didn't want to advocate, I didn't want it to look like I was wearing fur. However, I have this pretty awesome throw on my couch right now, which I would get, but my hand's pinned down. That is faux fur from, I can't remember where I bought it, but it's soft and beautiful and luxurious, and I love it. Well, everybody who comes into my house knows that we're vegan, like animal advocates, and it's obviously not, fur that's been ripped from animals' bodies. So in this case, like, I'm okay with it, but wearing fake fur out in public, that's, for me, I don't feel comfortable with it. Brittany says, my nursing class is about to say, wait, we just did that. Brittany. Okay, so what else do we have here? Hi, Colleen, says Laura. I think you've answered this before, but can you explain what you feed your cats, since they are, and I can only assume what the rest of that is. Yes, I do feed my cats animal products. I feed my cats meat from aquatic animals. So they eat shrimps. And what else do you eat, Charlie? Salmons? This is awkward. And tunas. And yeah, I do feed them aquatic animals. I do not feed them land animals. That's an arbitrary line that I have created. I just feel like they're doing really well, and my cats have done really well on aquatic animals. And they do like fish, even though kind of when you think about wild cats in the wild, kind of like the original ancestor of domestic cats, they really wouldn't eat fish, really. But I feel better about that. So yeah, and they are obligate carnivores. I am not persuaded that it's the healthiest thing for cats to eat vegan or vegetarian. And I do look forward to all of the wonderful cultured meats coming out that someday will be available for our domestic animals, our companion animals. Thanks, Laura. Love you too. Angela says there have been reports of dog and cat fur being used in items but still being labeled as faux fur. Exactly. For me, personally, I can't even wear faux fur, as it is a look is not a look I want to replicate. I agree with you. It's not just that I don't feel comfortable because I'm advocating it. I don't trust that the fur that's fake entirely is fake. Now, you can tell yourself if it's fake fur or not. You can actually pull up the fibers yourself. You can see if it's threaded, or you can see if it was actually on the skin of an animal. Okay, calm down, everybody. I've got my hand back. Okay. So you can tell. So for instance, the throw that I mentioned I can tell that it's synthetic, and you can tell that by looking at the fibers underneath. But I don't want to advocate it either. Okay, sorry, I'm scrolling up to get some more comments here. Megan says, hello, Megan. My mother is in the hospital and probably has diabetes. I'm so sorry, Megan. I cleaned out her fridge and tossed all the junk. They're probably going to give her a meal plan, but I'm hoping I can get her to eat fewer animal products. I'm confused about the sugar in fruit in relation to diabetes. You know, I actually, I don't want to give you any medical advice, but I would go to Dr. Greger's website, nutritionfacts.org, and get his take. My understanding is that fruit, I probably wouldn't recommend a diabetic eating fruit only because there is a raising of blood sugar. But there's also some really interesting information I remember reading at Dr. Greger's website that has to do with when you eat it or what you're eating it with. But I can definitely say this. I think whole fruits are going to be absolutely healthy for your mother as a diabetic, for anybody who's diabetic, but making sure that it's whole fruit and not the fruit juice. And there's a big difference. So go to Dr. Greger's website, get How Not to Die, his book, or How to Not Die. And you'll get some information there. But I'm really sorry, and good luck with that. I think I told you that I bought my mother and her boyfriend about $150 worth of products from Vegan Essentials to give them just kind of a leg up on eating well, because I was talking to them the other night, and Paul has gout, which is incredibly painful, and it's directly related to animal products and the acidic aspect of animal products. And I really had to just kind of push him, and I got him a bunch of the food, and I'm really hopeful. But, you know, I said to him, the number one thing, Paul, that's going to work for you if you really just, if you want to be well, is that you have to make a decision. So clearing your mom's fridge out, that's great. And hopefully she's open. Of course, I'm trying to persuade them to do this for 30 days. That's why I have the 30-day vegan challenge. But I said, you know, I could tell you this until I'm blue in the face, but what's really going to make it successful for you is if you make a decision. Because if you haven't made a decision, then you're just kind of, then you're not committed. And that makes a huge difference in people staying with it or not. So what else do we have? We have, what do you use to fuel during your long runs? We run half marathons and alternate between goo gels and maple sugar. I have to say, Paula, I'm probably not the right person to ask because my runs are just 5 to 6 miles. I'm not a long distance runner. I mean, I'm not a marathon or obviously a half marathon runner. I have aspirations, but I don't really focus that much on fueling very mindfully after I'm finished with the run. I mean, I'm usually, you know, after my runs, I usually have a shower and then I have lunch, which is usually a salad, and complex carbohydrates from beans and legumes, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not the person who pays a lot of attention to fueling up in a very particular way after a run. I just eat as healthfully as possible. But I'm sure there's lots of other people who could give you that. And congrats being half marathoners. That's really awesome. Like I said, I'm just about 5 or 6 miles. I probably won't be running for the next few days. I threw my back out this morning. I'm really annoyed. I was just doing some strength work, and I threw my back out. So I'm in a bit of pain right now, and really hoping that tomorrow it will be better, or at least it will get better very quickly. But definitely hurts. Can barely walk. So I'll be taking it easy for the next couple days. Just a bummer. Tyler, I'm an opera singer. Awesome, Tyler. You know, I'm a huge opera fan. And that world is particularly small. I connect with colleagues through Facebook, but also do activism through Facebook. What's the best way to go about professional activism with this in mind? Wonderful, Tyler. Do you know, I have a very good friend, Michael Colbruno. I don't know if you know Michael. He's vegan. He's a huge opera lover and opera supporter. So go find Michael Colbruno on Facebook. You might already know him. One of the things I talk about, and I have a podcast episode in Food for Thought called Activism in the Workplace or something like that. Yeah, I think it's Activism in the Workplace, something like that, activism at work. And I talk a bit about that because I think we make a mistake as people who care about things in the world, that we're either activists kind of working on behalf of animals through a nonprofit organization or as an independent person like me, or we have this job over here and I'm a nurse, or I'm an opera singer, or I'm a server in a restaurant. And I think we make the mistake that they're very separated. And what I really try to impress upon people, and I talk about it in that podcast episode, is you have an audience where you are in the work that you do. And so find what works for you in terms of expressing your voice, no pun intended, in a way that works for you, in a way that's authentic for you, because you have an audience where you are with colleagues, with people on Facebook, and find what resonates for you in terms of sharing information and having conversations and inspiring dialogue around these issues. Of course, if you have any more specific things in mind that you're thinking about, let me know. But I think it's fantastic that you're asking that question, because I really think we need to bridge this idea that we're only activists if we're doing something very specific that's been defined as activism, versus using the audience that we have in front of us. So good luck, and keep me posted, and let me know where you are and how I can find out more about your work as a singer. I'd be so interested in knowing what you're doing and what you're singing and blah, blah, blah. So Sangha has tried soy, almond, peanut, and pecan milk for my yogurts. The only one that curdled was the soy milk. So I hear the soy milk is, I do think the soy milk is going to be one of the best for your yogurts. So I would say keep trying. I'm actually going to embark upon that soon. I was talking to a friend about that. We were going to do it together. So I'm excited to do it, but I haven't tried it yet myself, so I'm sorry. Vegan Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. Yes, Debbie. Yes. Goodness. Hi, Colleen, says Laura. Thank you. Okay, Laura, sorry to saw that. And let's see, what else do we have here? I'm going to go to the end, see where we are. Debbie says eating vegan in Japan is so easy. Just tell them you're Buddhist. You'll get a separate menu and your food will be cooked on a different cooktop. That's actually really good advice. I didn't see the question, but that's really good advice. You're welcome, Paula. Michael, hello, Michael. I just told Debbie that next time you're live that I'd ask you about eating vegan in Japan. Have you been? No, but that we are planning on making Japan one of our trips with CPG. So this year we're going to Thailand, and we've got 22 people who are coming with us, and I'm very excited about that in October. I think possibly next year we might do Vietnam, and we're thinking of making Japan the next year after that. So Japan is high on my list for sure, and I do know that it can be tricky because of the fish sauce, and David was just there not long ago. And, in major cities like Tokyo, for instance, he said actually Japanese love Italian food. So he found a lot of it, like really authentic Italian restaurants. So that's awesome. And yeah, it is a matter of definitely asking for no fish, but that can be tricky. So I like the idea of, I love Debbie's suggestion of saying that you're Buddhist or that you'd like the Buddhist menu, because they will certainly honor that. I think that's really good advice. My favorite junk food. So Brooke, last night, so David and I were getting some, we were getting some scotch at the liquor store, and it was whatever. We had ordered a pizza, and I was going to say it was Super Bowl Sunday, but that didn't matter to us. But people are in there getting beer and chips, and so David wanted to get some chips and salsa, but they didn't have any salsa. So he got some, he wanted some potato chips. And I was so tempted because I love potato chips. I love salt and fat. And he said, and I was like, I don't want to get them. I want them, but I don't want to get them. And he says, well, why don't I get the salt and vinegar? Because I hate salt and vinegar potato chips. And I said, yes, but I really want the salt and pepper as well. And he says, well, get them. And I said, nope. And I stepped away, and he got the salt and vinegar because I won't eat it. And that was really helpful. So in terms of like, if I could eat it and it didn't make me feel gross and I didn't feel like it was gonna, make me gain weight, I would probably say potato chips. I do love potato chips, but I don't eat them very often because they're so horribly wonderful. But when I do splurge, it's usually some kind of, it's probably ice cream. It's probably like the So Delicious, and I let myself do that for sure, is the So Delicious salted caramel clusters. That's probably my favorite So Delicious. It's the cashew ice cream. I think the cashew milk ice cream is my favorite. And then also, I'll also just sometimes have chocolate chips if I have them in the house and peanut butter, but I usually try to keep the chocolate chips out of the house as well. It's just some self-discipline. Isaac says, after a run, I usually have some vegan protein powder. Indeed, you can find lots of great suggestions from people like Isaac and all the different athletes out there who have got suggestions. Karma says, I do the long distance running. I like shorter runs. After shorter runs, I like raisins. Nikki says, love being vegan, best thing I've ever done. Ditto, Nikki, I feel the same way. Thank you. I heard Dr. Greger speak in Boston Veg Fest, and he's great. I'll have to do more research on this. You're welcome. He is great. And Michael says, in a vegan group on Facebook, and they're eviscerating Lady Gaga for wearing fur. I don't like it, obviously, but I don't see why that's any worse than eating meat. I know. It's just hard. I know. I saw a little bit of that yesterday on Twitter. Yeah. Hello, Marina from New Jersey. Hello. Yeah, that's really hard, Nikki, having kidney issues. And V-Dog for sure. V-Dog is definitely fantastic for dogs, but I'm not persuaded for cats. And what else do we have? Delphina says the salted cluster is the best. I also love Ben & Jerry's peanut butter cookie. I don't think I've really tried it. I tried the Ben & Jerry's when it first came out, and it wasn't so delicious, so I didn't love it. But I need to give it another try. Angela says, Debbie, my Japanese coworker still advises to be careful as they do use bonito flakes, and it's not always specified. Good to know, helpful. Hi, Kirsten, good to see you. And Daniel says, best ice cream, you just had it last night. Oh, you had the salted caramel clusters. I'm very jealous. Very jealous of you, or envious, I guess is the word. Let's see, what else do we have? Tyler says, thank you, you're amazing. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Tyler. Here's a link to a song I posted on YouTube since you said you were interested. I would love to see it. I will check that out for sure. Everybody go check out Tyler. Tyler, what kind of singer are you? Taiwan is an amazing vegan place as well, right on. And fantastic. What's my favorite quick recipe? Brittany, you could probably guess. I bet right now some people could guess what my favorite quick recipe is. I'm going to give you 20 seconds to guess what my favorite quick recipe is. Besides a quick salad. Which salads can sometimes take time. But what's my favorite quick recipe? Everybody, I know you know, because you see me post pictures, I think, at least once a week. And right now I have chickpeas that I put in the pressure cooker earlier this morning actually, and I had some for lunch. So David and I are going to have some chickpeas, and I also have Brussels sprouts all cut up and ready to be roasted. So I'm going to do that as soon as I get off the phone with you, if I have the heart to take Charlie off my lap. And I actually was thinking of making the cauliflower risotto. So I have a cauliflower risotto, and I was going to make that and then throw some of the roasted Brussels sprouts in there, and then possibly I'm not sure how I'm going to use the beans yet, the legumes yet, the chickpeas. I made them mostly for lunch, but we have them for dinner as well. I could do the same thing. Hi, Hannah from New Jersey. Okay, so let's see what some answers are. Michael says the garlic and green soup. No, I wouldn't say that's not my go-to, but I do love my garlic and green soup, and you're actually making me think I should make some tonight. Maybe I'll make some tonight so I have that in advance for tomorrow. It's been raining. It's going to rain all week, and that would be a really lovely recipe. I've got greens, I've got potatoes, I've got a ton of garlic, and I've got carrots, also what I put in there. Good suggestion there, Michael. I think I'll take you up on the suggestion of making my garlic and green soup. Not sweet potato. April's got it, and Angela's got it, and Michael said second guess. Yeah, and Daniel's got it. Yeah, I would say polenta is my favorite quick go-to, really fast meal. And what's nice about it is that you can just top anything. You can top it with anything. So I'll make polenta because it takes no time, and it's delicious and filling and gorgeous. But then if I have, mushrooms, I'll saute some mushrooms. If I have greens, if I have vegetables, I can roast them. Why are you so uppity? Just relax. He's back and forth. He's on this knee. He's on that knee. Relax. And that's what I love about polenta. So polenta for sure. Sometimes the only thing that takes a little longer with polenta, well, it doesn't even take that long. If I don't have milk, because, I just make my own milk. So sometimes if I don't have milk already made, that screws me up. But that's why I also keep cashews in the house, because at least the cashews don't have to be soaked very long to make milk. But if I only have almonds, in fact, I'm going to also soak some almonds when I get off the phone because I need some milk. Polenta, one I've been wanting to make but haven't yet. Delphina, what are you waiting for, girlfriend? What are you waiting for? What else do I have to do to persuade you people to make the polenta? What else do I have to do? You'd think I had like stake in like the polenta industry, the cornmeal industry. Oh, Kirsten. My professors think carbohydrates are the enemy. It's so frustrating. Yeah. That's the most ridiculous thing. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to be judgy. I think we need to just really, language matters, right? Hashtag language matters. Hi. Etymology. Hi. Framing. Hi. Hashtag accuracy. When we talk about carbohydrates as people who have to constantly debunk these myths, we need to say complex carbohydrates because they cannot deny the complex carbohydrates. They're basically the fuel of our bodies. No sane person would recommend that we have, 60% of our calories coming from protein or 60% of our calories coming from fat. But they would understand that 60% of our calories at least should come from complex carbohydrates. And if they're teaching you something other than that, then they need to not be teaching in a nursing class. So when we talk about carbohydrates, I think we all need to talk about complex carbohydrates. So when you're talking to them, use that language, and perhaps when it's appropriate in class, without again kind of creating, I don't want you to have friction with them from the start, but maybe when there's times where they say carbohydrates bad, maybe you can raise your hand and say, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure, I want to clarify, you're talking about complex carbohydrates versus simple or refined carbohydrates, correct? So we need to just make sure that we're always being clear about that and that we're holding others accountable, especially others who are teaching people nutrition. Michael says, I am on low carb for bodybuilding and it's killing me. I know it's not healthy, but it gets results. Only 30%. I don't agree with that, Michael, but that's my opinion. I'm sure you're doing it safely and with supervision. Joined the lighter link you sent out. Thank you. You're welcome, April. And that the recipe certainly for the polenta is on the lighter my lighter profile. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you for agreeing with me. I know it's really frustrating. Am I excited for What the Health? Sure, absolutely. I think it's going to be great. And I'm really excited about it. What do you do when you lose hope in humanity? What do I do when I lose hope in humanity? I think, are you asking me or are you asking me like in a general way? Like, what do you do when you lose hope in humanity? Or are you saying, Colleen, what do you do when you lose hope in humanity? Saji, is it Saij? Is that your name? Let me know. And so lighter.com, I believe is the website. They are a wonderful platform for really helping people easily incorporate plant-based meals into their diets, creating meal plans and recipes and profiles based on your preferences. And so I'm one of the contributors, and so I have a profile on Lighter where I have my favorite recipes and snacks and meals, and then so do lots of other vegan cooks, chefs, athletes, and you can build a profile of your favorite recipes and meal plans and shopping lists based on all the different people they have on there, and you can kind of pull from all the different profiles. So I just put it on my newsletter. I sent it out already on, I believe that was Friday. And so you can go join and you can go see my recipes, and they're really fabulous. And if you do, let them know that you heard about it through me. So, yeah, for sure, Hannah, let's see. My professors also say that, it's so dark here, I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty reading. My professors also say that most of us in this country will need stents or bypass surgery, and there isn't much we can do about it. Yeah, that's just, well, when What the Health comes out, this is obviously going to be a movie that you're going to be sharing with your professors, it seems. So, like I said to Tyler, this is your audience, this is your opportunity, this is your advocacy. Obviously, you're there to be a student, and there's probably things you can learn while you're there as well. And this will be an opportunity for you to be the best teacher you can be as well, because you have an opportunity to teach. And part of what we do as advocates is finding our voice to be the best teachers. So you're a teacher in that classroom, you're a teacher. Out of that classroom, we all are. And find your voice and find ways to make connections, create clarity, speak the truth, and find common ground so that you're not, like I said, at odds constantly with your professors. We don't want that. So what do we have here? Thanks, Isaac. It is. It's lovely. So you're asking about me, Saij. I'm so depressed about the animal situation. My family doesn't get it. No one gets it where I live, and everyone jokes about animals dying and eating them, and it hurts so bad. I'm tired of people with no compassion. Well, first of all, it sounds like you're in a place right now where you really want to stay close to the people who make you feel safe and who understand how you feel. So, every couple days now, just because of how insane things are in the United States right now, on all these issues, animal issues, but of course, just politics in general, I am taking media blackouts, and I am not listening to any news. I'm not reading any headlines. I'm on Twitter a little bit, but I need to even, just kind of stay on my profile. And I'm doing this every couple days, every few days, and it's been really helping me a lot. So I think perhaps that same thing will help you in terms of the animal issues, and I'm still engaged. It's not like just because I'm not reading the headlines and not listening to the news. And this is hard for me. I listen to NPR 24/7. I mean, I put it on in the kitchen when I go in there. I know all the shows. I love my NPR station. I contribute to my NPR station. So it's hard for me to not put it on in the kitchen. But I have other podcasts I want to listen to and other media that I like to listen to. And I'd recommend that you listen to my Animology podcast, listen to my Food for Thought podcast, other podcasts. So that's what I would recommend, is stop looking so much at how bad things are. So number one. Number two, surround yourself right now with people who are safe. Perhaps don't go to your family with your concerns, with your despair, with your compassion, and stay with people who feel safe for you. And that is here. It's other Facebook pages where there's kindness and compassion and understanding. Number three is, I really say this a lot, focus on the hope. We are what we focus on, and we can choose to, I absolutely say all the time, we need to look at what's happening with the animals. We don't want to be myopic, and we don't want to forget. We always want to bear witness. However, we also need to be gentle with ourselves and not stare. And same thing with hope, is that I can just go and look only at all the awful things that are happening to animals, and that's all true and it's all real. But what I also spend time doing to save my own sanity and my own spirit and to stay active and to stay hopeful is I really look at all of the victories. And we have to do both. We have to do both. So when I'm not, listening to the news, or I'm not looking at every awful story about animals that comes through all the places that this information comes through these days, it doesn't mean I'm not active. I'm doing my work. I'm still writing letters, still contacting Congress, my congressmen and women. I'm still doing, I'm still writing my podcast. And I'm also looking for the stories where there are victories, because as much as we have to look and bear witness at all of the things that require our attention and our work and our voice, we also have to celebrate the victories. And I don't want to, and I don't want to hear, we have to celebrate the victories because they're real. I think one of the mistakes that advocates make is they're reluctant to celebrate victories because it's not the perfect final end of all of the atrocities. And it's just a shame, because we think, again, perfection is the enemy of the good. I'll say that a million times. Perfection is the enemy of the good. Because if we think that, we haven't achieved this vegan world, then everything else is a failure. Well, that's cynical, and that's unrealistic, and that's going to put all of us in despair. So we have to celebrate the victories because they're true and because they're real. If we keep our eye on the prize, we recognize that every victory is toward that. Every victory is toward that, whatever that prize is. And we have to celebrate every one of them. So I would recommend just celebrating the hope, celebrate the victories. Absolutely surround yourself with people who know how you feel, and go to those safe places. Does that help a little bit? Does that help? Absolutely. the worst thing for you is, for all of us, for any of us, is to feel so heavy and weighed down by the sadness of animal exploitation and violence against animals that we just give up. And giving up, I mean, this is why people stop being vegan, which is self-defeatist. Obviously doesn't make any sense, but because we think that if we're vegan, we have to look all the time, and we're advocates, we have to look all the time, we have to feel it all the time, and if we're not angry all the time, we don't care, versus, well, I just won't be vegan, I won't do anything at all. Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Don't do nothing because you can't do everything, do something, anything. So you being vegan, you being a voice for animals, you having a compassionate heart, that's all so fantastic, and that's your foundation. And be gentle with yourself as well. So stay close, stay with people who are safe. If your family is making fun of you, don't give them any fuel. You know, not that vegans have to give anybody much fuel to be made fun of. You don't have to say much more than I'm vegan, and then that's fuel. But maybe, you know, just leave the room, or just smile and laugh, or change the subject. You know, there's just lots of ways we can just get away from it a little bit. I do try to do that. NPR today told a horrible story about pig farming, and I literally cried in my car. It's just horrible. I don't have anyone close who's understanding. Even my own son makes jokes. You're gonna make me cry. Even my own son makes jokes. I'm 3 years vegan, and I will never give up, but I do have despair. So despair, I don't want you to have despair. You're allowed to feel a little hopeless, but you're not allowed to have despair, because despair is having absolutely no hope whatsoever. So, and I'm telling you that that's not even realistic. Not only is it harmful for you, it's not realistic. There are many reasons to find hope. And go look at some happy, you know, I don't mean happy like in just like kind of, you know, superficial ways. Go look at some victories. You know, I just shared on my Twitter feed today about the technology that's happening around testing on animals in laboratories. We will get to the point where animal testing is absolutely obsolete. It's archaic already, but it will be obsolete. I believe that with all my being. And so when I see stories that indicate that there is a lot of movement and progress in science around that area, that's reason enough for me to feel hopeful for that moment, right? All of the technology that's happening around the cultured meat, clean meat, humane meat, whatever you want to call it. I have this conversation with Paul Shapiro in an upcoming animology episode. That's a reason to give me hope. So find some stories that are going to give you some hope and hold on to those. And I want to just say, you said if, you know, you heard the story and it was so awful that you cried in your car. That's okay that you cried in your car. You felt it, you cried, it's cathartic, that's what tears are for, and right on. You know, the worst thing you could say is, I heard this awful story and I went and punched a window, or I went and, you know, acted out and yelled at my neighbor, right? That's not constructive. But if you cried in your car, that's cathartic. And so that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I cry every day. I actually cry every day. And I laugh every day as well. So sounds like you're holding both, and stay close. So even if right now your community is just online, then that's a start. And get into the 30-Day Vegan Challenge support group. So of course my Facebook page is always there for you, and there's wonderful people on there. The 30-Day Vegan Challenge support group, even if you didn't do the 30-Day Vegan Challenge, it's there, it's being monitored, it's being, I always say monitored, it is being monitored, but it's being moderated by some wonderful people, including both Michaels who are on here. I'm calling you guys unofficial moderators, and by Sherry, who's there moderating. And just, you can express this in the group and you will get so much love, you'll be enveloped in so much love and support. So I hope that helps a little bit. And this, you know, this is for everybody. This is for all of you. I hope that helps all of you. I might lose my connection in any moment, because I had only 40% when I started this broadcast, and it uses a lot of juice when I do these live broadcasts. So I'm going to just talk for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to head out and make my cauliflower, I was going to call it my California risotto. Maybe it's my California cauliflower risotto and my roasted Brussels sprouts. So what do we have here? I just want to look at your comments. You're welcome, Saij. And Michael's saying so sorry. And Michael's one of the wonderful people to get to know in the 30 Day Vegan Challenge Facebook group. Thank you, Laura, for that. That's fantastic. There's a Facebook a group called Environmental and Animal Welfare Victories. I love that. I need to get on that. Michael, the other Michael McNeely. We have two Michael McNeelys, one with a Y and one with an I. Isn't that wonderful? And they're both fabulous. The vegan food products in the market are absolutely exploding in popularity. That alone gives me hope. They keep having to clear more space on the shelves. Indeed, I love it. Delphina, look how fabulous all these people are. Sometimes we need to go back to our happy bubbles to protect ourselves. I've been trying to practice that the last couple of days because it can get really heavy, and I have felt very disheartened at times. Surround yourself with vegan everything. Exactly. Michael agrees. Crying is good even when you hear people say horrible things. Emotion is good. Indeed. April says despair comes when we feel we have no control. Pick one thing you can do that can give you hope. April, that's brilliant. I love that. So not only go find victories and see the hope that's out there, but absolutely I find hope in action. And so certainly in other people's actions, but in mine as well. So I don't have time for despair because I'm actually doing something. And I'm not saying that you're not, but because I'm doing something, it gives me hope and it gives me momentum and it gives me the energy to keep doing more. And especially when I see the responses from people. So it's a whole, ecosystem of hope. Angela says, if anyone feels that they need more vegan friends and vegan understanding in your newsfeed, feel free to send me a friend request. We need to branch out and stick together. I love it, Angela. Thank you for that. And Karma, Barnum and Bailey closing was great news this year. Try to think of that. It's the best. It's fantastic. Now, I know it's easy to go, yeah, but all the animals are going to go to other circuses. Yeah, there are some things that suck about it because we're in transition in many things. We're in transition and shifting the whole freaking paradigm. I just got a notice about my low battery. But that doesn't take away the significance of that victory. That is a victory that a circus that has been exploiting animals for 140 years, almost 140 years, is closing because the public isn't paying anymore. That's a huge victory. And not just on a superficial level. This is foundational. And that's what we need to focus on. And that's what we need to keep doing more of. We need foundational, long-term strategies. Strategies for long-term victories. Foundational victories. Not just little, superficial ones. And there's some of those, and we can glom onto those as well. But that is a significant foundational victory. You are welcome. You are welcome, Sage. I hope I'm saying your name right. It looks phonetic. I'm just pronouncing it phonetically. And wonderful. We've got lots of other suggestions from Michael. You're such a sweetheart, says Jennifer. Kind and gentle. Perfect. Today was great. Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. You're so sweet. You give us hope, Colleen. Thank you for this live Facebook. You're welcome, Stacy. And I agree. And you're so sweet. Thank you. And Dear Diary, Colleen, no, I didn't. No, I didn't, Michael. I was hoping no one caught that. I didn't. I caught myself and I said frickin'. So let's be really clear. No, there's no laughing at anything. There's none of that. I don't know what you're talking about. I did not drop the F-bomb. If you only knew how much I swear, if you knew, and you still haven't heard me, and that didn't count. So nice try. Nice try. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm assuming that you've all subscribed to Animology by now. You will not believe what's coming. So this week I released the Don't Get My Goat episode. Next week is an interview with Paul Shapiro. I think Paul and I should do a podcast on a regular basis. You let me know after you hear it. Because we had just such a fabulous conversation about all the language used in the meat, dairy, and egg industries and all the euphemisms they use. And we had just a fabulous conversation. So I am so excited, and you're not going to hear about it unless you subscribe to it. So go subscribe to Animology, leave your review, please, and share. Go to the animologypodcast.com and go look at the share link that I have. All these great graphics. You can pull from any one of the informational graphics. I already wrote the text for you. I already made it easy for you. I even have some that are just shareable. You can just click on them. So please go there. Do me that favor, please. I just spent the last, I don't know, how much time did I spend with you? So please do me a favor and go do that. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can. Yeah, I think you just follow. Actually, maybe on SoundCloud you follow. No. Well, yeah, maybe on SoundCloud it's just a follow. But wherever you listen, thank you for listening. And Michael says, finally getting some of my Audible books caught up with, and I'm back to catching up on your wonderful etymology. Thank you, Michael. Thanks, Karma. Thanks, Isaac. What did you say? I did not drop the F-bomb. I did not drop the F-bomb. All right. For the animals, like this one. You want to see this one right here? Like this one right here. For the animals, like Charlie. Oh, he's upset. He didn't want to be on camera. All right, bye everybody. This is Colleen Patrick-Goudreau. Thanks for watching.